Up with us tonight is our esteemed colleague, geopolitical research analyst, one of the great historians of our time, perhaps the greatest living historian working in the media right now. He is Webster Tarpley, been with us for many years. I remember before the last primary season, Webster and I were holding forth here regularly, trying to wake people up to the fact that the Marxist, fascist, you can throw any label you want on them, they all stick to one degree or another. Obama wasn't fit to be even in Washington, D.C., let alone in the Oval Office. But that was another story, and that was for almost 5 years ago now. Webster, welcome back.
Jeff, we have to have a balanced approach because we have the asset stripper, Mormon, what can we call him, apostle of genocidal austerity, Romney, as well as the Wall Street Democrat, Obama, right? And I would demand from everybody a balanced approach. I think anybody who's, trying to relitigate, Jeremiah Wright and stuff like that, those are basically Republican talking points, right? So the only way you escape being a tool of either one of these guys is by being against both of them. And I'm trying to fill the bill. Let me just call everybody's attention to my new book, which is now in the printer, right? The book exists. It's at the printer. It's called Just Too Weird, Bishop Romney's Mormon Putsch Against the United States with polygamy, with theocracy, and with subversion. And that's Progressive Press. The Progressive Press website, they're having a little bit of trouble getting the logo up there, but if you look at it tonight, later, or tomorrow, certainly it'll be there. Just Too Weird, Bishop Romney's Mormon Putsch against America. Now,
great title. Excuse me, progressivepress.com?
Yeah, Progressive Press of California. Palm Desert, California.
Okay, very good.
Prominent, John Leonard does a great job. Concerning this debate, right, we just get this out of the way. Here's the pattern. Romney is a flip-flopper, right? Romney, he changes, he's flip-flopped on everything. I mean, it's just he can't be taken seriously. I can't imagine anybody sitting there and listening to Romney talk about anything and believing anything because he's such a liar, right? He's an antinomian. He's a Mormon antinomian, and an antinomian, right? You know what this is? It's the heresy or the erroneous belief that if you think the end of the world is near, or if you think that you've already become a saint, right, which he does, then you can do whatever you want. That the moral law, might be it the Ten Commandments or whatever it is, does not apply to you. So you can lie, cheat, steal, rustle cattle, and so forth.
Well, doesn't that apply to both of them?
Yeah, it does, but here's the particular thing. What you see on display tonight is Romney lying. That's the first thing, right? Romney's a liar in the way that the Mormon Church lies about polygamy. They lied about theocracy. They lied about, what they were preparing to do during the Civil War. I mean, they lie about their war on women. They lie about their white supremacy and racism and all this other stuff. So Romney's basically out there in a big lie offensive. And if you've been watching this campaign, Romney essentially denied, in the first 5 or 10 minutes, he denied all the major features of his economic plan, right? The Ryan plan. He just lied. He just, threw it all out the window and pretended that this was completely wrong. Now, that then shifts the ball to Obama. What are you going to do? At that point, the only thing you can do is to say, you're a damned liar. Stop lying. You're lying about the Ryan plan. You're lying about your intentions. You're a compulsive, incorrigible, inveterate liar. And here's where you see that Obama is a weakling. I think that's the dynamic that you see. Romney lies. Unbelievable, right? Impudent, blatant.
Yeah.
Without. Yeah. I was trying to think of other precedents.
Other great liars?
Other great liars in these debates. One I can remember is the 2000 debates. You had Al Gore against Bradley, and Al Gore's method of getting rid of Bradley was just to lie about ironically enough, about Bradley's health plan. Bradley had a plan for health care, and Gore just lied about it. And he lied. And, people told Bradley, you've got to fight back, right? You've got to confront him for being a liar and a scoundrel and you got to take the gloves off. And Bradley just couldn't do it. And the same thing now with Obama, that Obama is this kind of weakling, right? He's pathetic, and then he's also got this stupid nonpartisan thing. The other thing that Romney does is, in addition to lying about his specific programs, he wants to blame Obama for things in the government which are largely the work of these reactionary Republicans. In other words, if you're Obama, you've got to tie Romney to Paul Ryan, right? You could say, here, you've got this fascist Paul Ryan, that's your vice presidential candidate, and he's part of this clique, this reactionary Republican proto-fascist clique in the House of Representatives, right, who are saboteurs and subversives.
That's true.
Right? And you'd have to say, stop blaming me for this stuff. Your guy did it.
Yep.
Ask your running mate why that didn't get done, right? Blang, blang, blang. And again, Obama is too weak to do it.
Well, what worries me even more, Webster, is the simple fact that how many layers, like an onion, of neocon, genocidal, war-loving maniacs are wrapped around the Obama campaign, right down to its core.
Oh, wait a minute. I think you got the emphasis wrong again. The neocons are betting on Romney. Romney is the neocon great.
No, I'm sorry. Did I say Obama? I meant Romney. I meant Romney.
It's Romney.
I'm looking at Obama.
The neocons are not happy. You can hear the neocons are now out in force that Obama is not a big enough warmonger. See,
okay, Obama's neocon layers are many, pathological, and extremely bad. Romney is the neocon man. He's a neocon marionette.
Again, with Obama, these are not so much neocons. These are Brzezinskiites, and you can see the difference.
That's true.
The Brzezinskiite method says lead from behind. Lead from behind means play one ally against an enemy and get rid of both of them. That's what leading from behind means. Leading from behind is duplicity. You want to get rid of Libya, play France against Libya, right? If you want to get rid of Syria, play Turkey against Syria, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you get involved, right? It's too expensive. You get too many people killed, blowback, protests, instability. So the neocons are saying, that's unacceptable. We have to attack, bomb, invade, get on the ground. You see what it is? You've got this angry neocon faction.
Oh, I know.
They want to vindicate themselves.
Well,
they know they're hated.
Yeah.
They know they were repudiated. Bush left
right.
office with 22% popularity.
Yep.
The neocons know that's for them.
They
come
did
back. That, right?
They are
they
thoroughly wrapped
around. So now
around.
they say, we've got to make a comeback. We've got to show what we're really made of. We've got to do a war that silences everybody and restores our historical standing.
A war that no one will ever forget. Exactly.
Right. All right. So this is what's going on up until about the top of the hour. Now, the one interesting response from Obama is he was asked, how would you compare your views on Social Security with Romney? And he says, I more or less agree with Romney, but Social Security has to be tweaked. Now, when he says tweaked, that means the door opens to genocidal austerity. And this is the thing I would stress for everybody. For the last several weeks, the general idea has been that Obama was ahead. And what you had emerging was Obama's real plan for the month of December, the grand bargain, and his dirty deal with these reactionaries.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. We'll go right through the break. I want to hear. We got a lot to talk about.
Should I continue?
Yes, please.
All right, fine. So here, you remember, I've written this up. It's up on Press TV. You can get it through my website, right, through Tarpley.net. Tarpley.net will get you there. Right after the Democratic convention, if you just did an analysis of Obama's speech, he more or less told you what he would do. He said he remains eager to make a grand bargain type deal with these Republican reactionaries. That is, even if he wins the election, he's gonna sell out Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, which is also a very, very big part of protecting the U.S. middle class. And that's the so-called lame duck session in December. Lots and lots of politicians on both sides will be out of office. Some of them are retiring, some of them will be defeated. They're going to be on their way out. They're going to be looking to Wall Street for jobs. This is the moment of maximum Wall Street leverage. Those people they can vote for whatever they want. they will never have to face voters again. Rather, they're going to be looking to get recruited by Goldman Sachs. So the time to do the really dirty deal, if at all possible, is December. And you can go back to Clinton, right? Clinton did the same thing. He destroyed welfare. I'm always amazed in these campaign debates, right? The Republicans are talking about welfare. There is no welfare. Welfare is gone. Welfare ceased to exist in 1996, 1997, thanks to Bill Clinton and Newt Gingrich. So that was the first thing they did. The fact that we have no welfare is one of the reasons we have 50 million Americans living in dire poverty, basically on food stamps and nothing else, right? No job, no unemployment benefits, no health care, no welfare benefits, just food stamps, right? That's the 50 million whose lives are in danger really every day. And then in the second term, you'll remember, there was going to be the dirty deal again between Clinton and Gingrich, mediated by Erskine Bowles, right? Erskine Bowles is from Morgan Stanley, for heaven's sake. He's a zombie banker. He's a Wall Street hedge fund hyena, and he's supposed to be a source of wisdom, along with this curmudgeon, right? This elderly misanthrope, Al Simpson. So they were going to make the deal where they would increase the age on Social Security and tamper with the cost of living escalator so that the benefit would dwindle. That's the idea, right? That the benefit will become less over time. And the Republicans were demanding private accounts, and Clinton was even willing to do that. And we remember, right, the one thing that saved us was Monica Lewinsky, because once Monica Lewinsky came along, Clinton could not betray the New Deal style liberals in the Democratic House in particular, who were the ones that he needed to fight for him, right? Who did fight for him when the others, the New Democrats, the centrist Democrats, all ran for the hills. So that's when you see Clinton, you've got to remember, don't feel reassured that Clinton is there, right? This is not good. It's a sign of impending sellouts when you see Clinton, right? When Clinton says he feels your pain, he feels that your pain is going to increase. So what we've had is a warning from Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont saying, watch out, there's going to be a dirty deal in December, fiscal cliff, lame duck session, grand bargain are the key words. That will mean a dirty deal to increase the age for Social Security, right? Maybe they'll say everybody has to work until they're 70, right? Right now it's 66, 67, depending on when you were born, right? But they're going to make it, 70, and then they're going to say, tamper, fudge, fake the cost of living escalator so that the benefits get less and less and less over time. And there may even be the Republicans demanding the private accounts. That I can't predict. But this is what Bernie Sanders of Vermont warned against. That same story was then confirmed by Chucky Schumer, right? Chucky Schumer, this senator from New York State, right? So he says the same thing. And now we have yesterday an interesting article in Politico, which even tells us who are the austerity ghouls that are most active in the Congress, right? The leading austerity ghouls are in the Senate, and this is the Crapo Commission, Jeff. Remember them?
I do.
The Crapo Commission.
Yeah.
This is Senator Mike Crapo of Idaho.
Yep.
Interestingly, a Mormon, right? This would probably be the line to Romney, right? LDS, right? Idaho, big, right above Utah, big Mormon center. So Crapo is there. Chambliss, Saxby Chambliss, remember him? The absolute scoundrel who drove Max Cleland out of the Senate by saying that this man who lost 3 limbs was not a patriot, and this Chambliss had never served. And then Coburn, reactionary from Oklahoma, right? Austerity ghoul. And Lamar Alexander. He's famous as a champion of the prison industrial complex. He's Mr. Slave Labor in the U.S. Senate, right? Remember, ran for president with a plaid shirt, tried to play the cultural populist card as some
Mr. Cool, Mr. Populist,
Right? Okay, so Crapo, Chambliss, Coburn, Alexander are the Republicans. And then the Democrats, Warner of Virginia, right-wing austerity Democrat. Durbin, one of the dirtiest operators, and he's actually a member of the Democratic leadership. So Warner, Durbin, Bennett. This is Bennett of Colorado. This is a fairly younger Bennett. And then Conrad from North Dakota. So that's it. That's the Gang of 6 plus 2. And they are meeting in secret to plan genocidal austerity cuts. And of course, the big question, which lies behind this debate tonight, and I'm not sure how explicit they've been about it, but Romney demanded that Obama support the Simpson-Bowles Commission, which is a bunch of austerity ghouls, right, including Alice Rivlin.
Yeah.
And again, Simpson is this hate monger, right?
Well, austerity is coming no matter what, isn't it? I mean, they're both going to push it.
Fight it. The whole point is to fight it.
Of course.
I mean, there have just been millions of people in the streets all over Europe in the last week or two, mainly wanting to fight austerity. Now, their problem is they don't have a program. But this is what's coming. And now the point that I would make, we could go into more details about what's coming. On October 27th, New York City, it's at 56 Walker Street. 56 Walker Street is Tribeca. It's Canal Street, right? It's not that, it's a little, it's a half a mile above Wall Street. We will have the founding convention, whatever you want to call it, of the United Front Against Austerity. And the goal of this is to essentially to create a common front among various organizations. Political parties, trade unions, community groups, individuals, intellectuals, whatever it is. This will be from noon to 6 in it's actually the studios of INN, right? It's their auditorium down there on 56 Walker Street. And the goal of that will be to come out of there with a common program and a sort of a notion of how organization will work. I would stress, this is based, if it goes well, on Syriza of Greece. You'll remember, Syriza of Greece is the one success story that we've had, right? Occupy Wall Street has been an ignominious failure, right?
It certainly has.
Completely irrelevant. They had their anniversary in New York, 10 days ago. They got basically nobody. They got 180 people, I think. There were more cops than demonstrators. And then we've just had the anniversary here, the Freedom Plaza in Washington, D.C. And that was also just pathetic. And their level is now to harass people going to work, right? Harass bankers in New York, harass K Street lobbyists down here. This is just ridiculous. And no program except, we're an anarchist and we raise hell, right? Just contemptible. Then I have to also remind people, all those people who sweated blood for the leprechaun, right? Ron Paul. Boy, oh boy, wasn't that a fine market of doom.
Ron who?
Ron Paul.
Ron who?
Ron Paul.
Hardly, sounds familiar.
The leprechaun, remember him?
Vaguely remember.
The gold and all that stuff?
Seems to me I remember something about
right. He's disappeared.
He sure did
He
vanish.
led them into the desert and dumped them there.
He's gone.
The Paultards, right? The Paultards and the pallbearers have now been, they've been scattered to the four winds. But this is an example of a treacherous deployment by an unscrupulous, absolutely unprincipled nepotist, among other things. Trying to get his little son Rand on the ticket. He failed because Romney got there on his own power. But that's what that was all about. And, of course, when we're talking about austerity, we have to remember that Ron Paul proposed an austerity plan which was worse, more fascist, more drastic than I think just about anybody in the advanced world. I mean, look at Japan, Europe, the United States. I would bet that Ron Paul's austerity plan is the most extreme, the most genocidal of anybody.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Certainly.
Well, he's certainly...
who would go beyond that? Nobody in Europe, I think, even a fascist in Europe would keep it quiet.
All right. Well, he certainly has vanished. There's no question about that. We'll see what kind of a legacy rears its head in the weeks to come, if any. Stand by. Back in just a minute with Webster. All right, let's remind you, Webster's new book coming out, Just Too Weird. Look under his name. You can go right to the publisher, get yourself a copy, begin shipping next week. It should be a great read, as all of Webster's books are. All right, let's go right back to it.
Yes, thank you very much. That's and that I think, as I say, you look at this ability that Romney has to just flip-flop, lie, right? He's a shapeshifter. He's the most evasive, right? In the Greek myths, it was Proteus, right? He could assume any form, right? Well, you can think of modern versions of that. This is the tradition of this entity that he comes from, right? The Mormon Church, right? People they practiced polygamy, they denied it, then they said they stopped practicing polygamy, but they still kept practicing it. I mean, it's a very interesting story. They really seceded from the Union, as a territory, even not even as a state. In 1857, Utah seceded as a territory under Brigham Young, although they didn't quite say secession, right? They more or less said independence, and they were able to prevaricate around that. And the most interesting is you can take a look at the Time magazine, for example, this week. The Time magazine cover is The Mormon Identity, which is a stained glass window where you can see Romney as part of the stained glass. And you look at that article, it tells you Romney is a pragmatist in the sense of he worships at the altar of expediency, and the Mormon Church does the same thing, writes John Meacham in this Time magazine essay. The Mormon Church changes its theology according to the needs of the times, right? If polygamy is the thing to keep people trapped in Utah, then that's the way to do it. But then when you want to become a state and you can't do that without at least on the surface getting rid of polygamy, then they have to do that. So the idea is that this prevarication, or the other way you can put it is esoteric exoteric, right? In other words, the esoteric in Mormonism is called the shelf doctrine. In other words, there's a whole belief structure which is hidden. It's not acknowledged. It's systematically concealed. These are the so-called shelf doctrines, which are only spoken of maybe in the temple, which is secret, right? It's a secret world inside the temple. And then there's the exoteric, which is what they say in public, right? They take the Book of Mormon. The Book of Mormon existed for about 150 years, and then they added the subtitle, Another Gospel of Jesus Christ, right? Which is really not what it is. So the idea that it claims to be absolute in every moment based on a direct revelation from God, but then it's always shifting, right? Presumably based on the same thing. So that's why Romney has this amazing ease, right? What you saw tonight in doing these things. So
correct.
That's
right.
Just too weird, and the just too weird is something that comes up in numerous studies, right? In other words, you read through the literature, and one of the things that pops up is that this idea that, for example, the notion of paradise is that you're going to become a god ruling over a planet. Not this one, most likely. This one is probably taken, almost certainly taken. But some other planet, and you're going to have a spiritual harem, and then you're going to have spirit children, and you're essentially going to be the dynastic king ruler of a planet. And that will only come, though, after a long time of constant progression once you've gotten into heaven, and on and on. So anyway, the idea of this article in Time magazine is a correct idea that how do you figure out Romney? He's always lying. Look at the Mormon tradition, the Mormon history, and maybe you can learn from that. That is true. That's where you learn a great deal. That's what I've tried to do. The problem with the Time magazine version is that it doesn't really look at the Mormon history. It doesn't have anything really about the secessionism and the subversion. It doesn't really, it accepts a very superficial explanation of the polygamy. It doesn't want to grapple with the really deeply rooted ideas about polygamy in Mormonism. And above all, it doesn't say anything about racism. And that's maybe the most interesting thing for us today is you've got to remember, until 1978, if you were a white racist and you wanted to find a church, the only church that could guarantee you, absolute guarantee of a lily white congregation, was Mormonism, up until 1978. So that meant that people who were reactionaries and racist, if they had religious impulses, they would gravitate towards Mormonism, right? even over baptism or Methodism or anything else, right? Any of the other principal or the principal religions couldn't guarantee you a lily white congregation. So that's where Mormonism acquired a lot of this mass of racists and reactionaries. One good example, you remember Ezra Taft Benson?
Of course.
This was Secretary of Agriculture under Eisenhower, and he wrote, he gave speeches that Martin Luther King was a communist agent, that the civil rights movement was communist agitation, and he considered running for national office on a couple of occasions. On one occasion, there was a proposal, and mainly 1968. The proposal was to make Ezra Taft Benson himself the presidential candidate of the American Party, right? The George Wallace Party. What eventually became the George Wallace Party, because at that time it was up for grabs. And then later, there was an attempt, when Wallace won out over others, there was an attempt to get Ezra Taft Benson on the Wallace ticket for vice president, right? The job that eventually went, I believe, to Curtis LeMay. And it's very interesting that the wife of Ryan, right, Congressman Ryan, vice presidential candidate Ryan's wife, is from a family in Oklahoma who were the center of the American Party in Oklahoma in 1968. In other words, the Wallace racist party.
Oh, they go way back, yeah.
So you can see that. And the other thing, again, I would stress in the background, the John Birch Society, because that's the other big thing with Ezra Taft Benson. He was a great fan of the John Birch Society. His son actually went to work for the John Birch Society. And you got to remember also, the main ideologue of the John Birch Society is the Mormon Cleon Skousen, the author of this crazy book, The Naked Capitalist, right? Where we're told that Carol Quigley of Georgetown University is actually a communist agent, and it just crazy stuff. And really, that whole ideology, when you look at that, right, the sort of libertarian, anti-government ideological plague that we've had, really one of the main centers of gravity of that is Mormonism, right? Right-wing conservative Mormons, who are, again, a lot because of this racial feature that they had until 1978. Now we have Mia Love running for Congress from Utah to make us forget all those bad old days, but I don't think we should forget them. So the problem with the Time magazine article is it says, let's look at Mormon history to figure out what Romney might do. But then the version of Mormon history they have is so fragmentary and so superficial and so watered down that you don't learn anything. Rather, come to my book, right? Just Too Weird, Bishop Romney's Mormon Putsch Against America, and with attention to polygamy, theocracy, and subversion.
All right, very good.
Secessionism.
Okay, hold on just a sec. We'll come right back.
Okay.
Well, some of the talking heads are saying that Obama appeared angry, listless, would rather have been anywhere than where he was tonight. This is, I don't know, indicative of maybe somebody without his teleprompter who doesn't like that. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, Obama, as we know, is a narcissist, right? So the idea that he has to share the stage with somebody like this is difficult for him.
Doesn't work.
And again, this situation required the attack to unmask Romney, to nail him as a liar, a flip-flopper, somebody with a fascist on his ticket, because that's what that guy Ryan is. Yeah. Apparently
that didn't happen.
No, because he's too weak. And this is the problem, right? If you are a Wall Street puppet, you are constitutionally, structurally too weak to nail a hedge fund hyena, right? Because that's not what Obama's job is to protect people like Romney from the pitchforks, as he once said in the spring of 2009. A bunch of zombie bankers came to the White House, and he said to them, "I'm the only thing between you and the pitchfork." And that was the situation, and that's really what he's been doing the entire time.
Someone
so
said,
again, if we don't like this, here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
If we don't like this, and we don't. Yeah. Here's the website you have to go to. It's called againstausterity.org. Againstausterity.org, all one word. This is the website of the United Front Against Austerity, UFAA Public Assembly Founding Convention, October 27th, 2012, from noon to 6 p.m., 56 Walker Street, New York City, near Canal Street. Be there, right? If you have an organization, come. And as it points out here on this interesting webpage, labor unions, political organizations, journalists and media, academics, public advocates, groups of blacks, Hispanics, other ethnic groups, disadvantaged minorities, professional organizations, industry, agriculture, science, and engineering, right? And you've got to go through a discussion, I hope in the light of the Syriza experience, comparing Syriza to the failures of Occupy Wall Street. It's actually very interesting. If you just look at the last month or two, look at what has collapsed. Ron Paul has collapsed, right? This is completely gone. Occupy has shown that they have collapsed, right? They tried the first year anniversary.
Nothing there.
They got nothing. This LaRouche movement is collapsing. Look at them, right? They had a major defection of the key people in their youth movement. I would say that the last gasp of the 9/11 truth movement has been going on. As the last group that was trying to do something has essentially torn itself apart in the factional struggle, and they're going flying off in all directions. So right now we're approximating the perfect void, and this is the moment to fill that with something reasonable, right? Mm-hmm. And again, Syriza is a good idea. Mm-hmm. You look at Syriza, right? They went from 4% to 27%. How did they do that? The leader of it, Tsipras, and the people working with him were able to bring together more than a dozen fragments, right? Organizations, tiny parties, splinter parties, groups, community activists, people like this, to get to critical mass, right? To get above the 4% and go from 27 to go to 27%. And they did it, once again, with all the things that Occupy told you were wrong and bad and that you shouldn't even discuss, right? Program, organization, strategy, and leadership, right? Those are the things you got to have. Occupy tells you not, and the strategy, of course, is don't follow a ruling class politician like Ron Paul, because I'm sorry, that's what he is. You're in Congress for 12 terms. Well, you got to really prove to us, what you're made of. Mm-hmm. And if you're demanding $1 trillion of austerity against the American people in the first year, a 25 to 30% austerity and a 62% cut in food stamps, that's just disgraceful. That's genocide. That you should be sent to Nuremberg for that, right? This kind of stuff would either be that you'd go to an insane asylum, or you'd be considered a fascist agent, right? That would have been the American response, in the 50s.
They're far too egregious. I agree. The one thing I'm picking up from the little bit of this debate issue is, why wasn't Obama full of passion? Well, the simple answer is the guy works off a teleprompter, right? He didn't have it.
I've told you why it is. Because he's a Wall Street puppet, and he
that
doesn't
too.
dare attack Romney, because Romney, of course, is a hedge fund hyena. And the answer to this stuff is it's psychological and structural, right? That Obama's cover story is that he does what he does because he's got to worry about the fussy independents. I've always thought that's a complete cop out, because he's really not. He's catering to Wall Street. He's got to show Wall Street that he can deliver the austerity with fewer problems, right? I would say that's what you got out of these two conventions, right? That Romney said, I'll give you 25 to 30% austerity. And Obama said, that's not realistic. I'll give you, 10 to 15% austerity, but I'll do it with no resistance. Whereas with Romney, you're going to get a strike wave. You're going to get chaos. You may get a civil war with Romney. So Obama can say, I'll give it to you with far fewer problems. And ultimately, when you do the accounting, right, the austerity I deliver and the cost of making it stick, Obama would argue that he's the more rational alternative. But, of course, the ruling class is more and more crazed. So that's what you saw in a nutshell. That as long as you're trapped in the two-party system, you are doomed. No more Republican congressmen, no matter how libertarian they may be. No more Democratic messiahs. Sorry, no matter how charismatic they are or not. And therefore, the United Front Against Austerity, austerity.org.
The melodrama continues to roll out. They're going to call it now probably an Obamni debate, with Romney winning the edge. The polls will be called a dead heat, which CNN did a couple of days ago, the alleged polls. They're going to play this game, and there's an awful lot.
Yeah, if you don't like that, 56 Walker Street at noon on the 27th of October. And I say this to anybody. You want to complain or you want to do something? If you want to do something, 56 Walker Street, October 27th at noon. Be there. Otherwise, you can complain, but you're not doing anything. I would say that to everybody.
Where can people find more information out about that again?
Againstausterity.org. Againstausterity.org.
Yeah, look at
the internet.
Folks, look at the EU. Look at Greece. Understand that's the plan for us. No question about it.
Yeah, but with Greece, it's a different story now. Spain, I think, is chaotic. But with Greece, there's something that has happened, right? Which is there's a real class-based opposition that's talking debt moratorium, right? And that's serious stuff. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Syriza, the reporting from these places is awful. It's terrible. But the one thing that's positive that has happened in the last 12 months is the emergence of it's called the left bloc, right? The SY is the, right, the bloc, right? The combined. And then the Res, I think Rizos Pastos in Greek means the left, right? So the Syriza bloc starts as a united front of these parties, right? These groups, organizations, splinter parties, whatever they were. And they were able to come together on this minimal basis and jump from 4% to 27%. That could be done here. That's the goal of this conference, is to promote a process that goes in that direction. So, and again, right now, if you compare this U.S. to Greece, you'd say, well, in Greece, the field was much more cluttered, right? You had a trade union movement, a social democratic movement, a communist party, fascist party, all this stuff. Whereas here, right now in the United States, you basically got a void with, various small groups that have, more or less merit, right? You can look at, like, the Black Agenda report with Glenn Ford and other people there. They have real merit, but it's small, right? It's not enough to get traction. And similarly, other groups, right? So the idea is, why would it not be possible now to merge, not so these organizations disappear, but that they spend a significant amount of their energy cooperating on a program of common demand so they reach critical mass and actually, begin to get mass traction, right? Mass awareness for their demands. And there are ideas, right? If you look at the Washington Post today, the left liberal Harold Meyerson, he suggests topics for the Obama-Romney debate. One should be Glass-Steagall. That's fine. Glass-Steagall is a fine demand. It's not a mass agitation demand, but that you'd split the speculative part from the savings bank and commercial bank part, the insured deposits, and essentially that would mean you could let the hedge fund part go bankrupt. That would be good. But the one that he really has is the Wall Street sales tax. The Wall Street sales tax is on the editorial page of the Washington Post today with Harold Meyerson. He calls it the transaction tax, but that's it. It's the Wall Street sales tax. So that one in particular, the Wall Street sales tax, is the basis for any kind of struggle. If you're looking to maintain social services, the first question is, how are you going to pay for it? By taxing Wall Street with a Wall Street sales tax. Not on their profits, on their turnover, on their buying and selling, as a sales tax. And another one is if you're leading a struggle like the Chicago Teachers Union this past month, right, that was essentially strangled by Obama, the answer to that is, you want a wage increase, who should pay? Wall Street should pay. And generally speaking, the question is, who's going to pay for the depression? Mm-hmm. Wall Street should pay for the depression.
Well,
not the rest of us with cuts. But Wall Street. They created it, they pay for it. Wall Street sales tax.
Any more talk about the 1% tax?
That's it. Yeah, the National Nurses United is still going with it. And I said, it's on the editorial page of the Washington Post today. Today, Harold Meyerson.
Well, very good.
It's a topic that should come up in this debate, which it didn't, as far as I know.
No, of course not. Nor did his.
But
nor
still,
did a lot
that's
of
the
things
Washington Post, right? That's not the, the podunk newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
things are possible. But what has to happen is organization, independent, class-based fighting organization with an independent fighting class-based program. And the centerpiece of the program is Wall Street pays for the Depression, not us. And then we seize the Fed, we nationalize it, we begin issuing 0% credit for production, and we put out $1 trillion worth of infrastructure contracts, and you get a recovery. And at that point, these political parties will wither on the vine. I would say the scenario could be Romney loses, Republicans collapse, and the Democrats split into two parts. Something like that.
Yeah. All right.
Wall
Very
Street
good.
and New Deal.
Okay. Well, good luck on the 27th.
The 27th of October.
Yeah, and good luck on the new book. And
Thank you very much.
I hope to admit, if you want to talk before then, let me know. We'll give it another nudge.
Sure.
I know you're awfully busy.
Once the book is out, I'll probably come back again. I got to
Okay.
tell you the whole story of George Romney the Elder, right? The father of this guy.
Yeah.
How he was in bed with the worst pro-fascist elements in the 40s and 50s.
Right. Well, let's do that. I got time on the 24th. Just a thought. That's a Wednesday before the 27th.
Send me an email, and I'm sure we can set it up. Okay.
Okay. All right, Webster. Thanks.
Bye bye.
Very good. Excellent. Take care.